Toulis.
Hello, Donkery. David Toulis here. He's been arrested in Hamilton County and is going to be transferred to Bradley County on charges of vandalism and also felony civil rights intimidation charges. He is alleged to have vandalized several churches, writing 666 on their doors and on their property. He's 52 years old, and the officials say that they received a number of tips and phone calls and through social media, and detectives were able to detect who this man is, whom they've arrested, and they're alleging that he is the one to have done these sins. Well, we will call them a sin, and if we're going to believe the prosecutor that ends up with this case in Bradley County, they are crimes. The victim of all criminal cases in Tennessee is always the state. The state is the victim, not necessarily Canaan Baptist Church on 13th Avenue in Chattanooga, which the Chattanooga.com story indicates is one of those that had drawn on the front of the building and on the door 666 there and on crosses on the property. There's a video that showed a white male. Chattanooga.com reports tall, heavyset, medium hair length, etc., etc. There's also a reference to Jim Winters on Saturday, who told Chattanooga.com on East 23rd Street that an American flag and fuel pumps had been vandalized, and this man was picked up at In-Town Suites on Lee Highway. That's at the end there on the north, I guess the northeast side of Lee Highway, where it comes to an end. There's a kind of a budget place to spend the night. Now, the question I have is this: is in suggestion, is not this a wonderful opportunity for Christian people in these churches who are the victims of a wrong to propose an alternative remedy to the standard criminal prosecution, which could have this man spending a year or more in prison under the civil rights intimidation law? And you say, well, what's the big deal? He clearly did something wrong. It's a criminal act. The police were involved. What is your problem with him just being prosecuted like anybody else would for vandalizing property with paint or markings? Well, I do have a problem with the idea of there being a standard prosecution, and I do have a problem or maybe a doubt about Christian people who don't think twice about the operation of justice in our city and in our county, or we could say maybe the next county up. civil rights intimidation is a charge that's found in Title 39 of the criminal statutes, where people are understood in the introductory language, understood to have a right to be free from intimidation and harassment, bodily injury caused by other people, right? So we have here a statute in which the state enters in between private relations and creates a crime beyond other kinds of crimes, right? Crimes that already exist. These are not enough. This is a specific case, a specific kind of offense. It is not the intent of this section to interfere with the exercise of rights protected by the Constitution. The General Assembly says, we recognize the constitutional right of every citizen to harbor and express beliefs on any subject whatsoever and to associate with others who share similar beliefs. Okay, here we're talking presumably about hate groups. Okay. The General Assembly further finds that the advocacy of unlawful acts by groups and individuals against other persons or groups for the purpose of inciting and provoking damage to property and bodily injury or death to persons is not constitutionally protected. Well, that statute misunderstands what the Constitution is all about. I can't violate your constitutional rights. For one, constitutional rights are rights as against the state and the federal power. That's all that Constitution protects. It does not have authority to protect anybody's private rights from another private person. Okay, it just simply doesn't do that. So the statute misunderstands what the Constitution is there for to begin with. It is aimed at the state, and it protects you. Your rights are innumerable, we're told, and even rights that are not mentioned by any of the Bill of Rights are there and to be protected. They are to be protected by the sheriff and to be respected by the district attorney. So what I'm getting at here is that we have a sort of misconstrued statute, but let's just pretend that it's okay. Let's just say that there's no problem with a law that protects people from intimidation and protects churches from vandalism. Okay, that is one of the effects of this, is that if you vandalize a church, you are facing a felony, meaning a 1-year prison term or more, an infamous crime charge. And Mr. Dockery faces that charge. One of the provisions is that you injure or threaten to injure or coerce another person with the intent to unlawfully intimidate another. So the charge is somehow that he, in marking these churches with this number 666, he's trying to intimidate people. He's trying to make them stop doing something or trying to make them live in fear. He's injuring or threatening to injure or coerce another person with the intent to unlawfully intimidate another because they have exercised a right or privilege secured by the Constitution. So again, there's that wrong angle that this statute takes, pretending somehow that I, a private person, can violate your private person constitutional rights, which is just impossible. But all right. So that's what he's facing. Okay, he's facing a vandalism charge, which is, I think, a petty crime, misdemeanor, and then this a crime under this statute. But for this to happen, in any case in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, in any case in Tennessee, the state has to present itself, first of all, as the victim. And the number is David. The name is David Toulis, and the number is 800-8949. That's 800-8949. Do call me. And I want to propose that you call me to say what you think would be a right alternative prosecution of this case, because the case has to be prosecuted somehow. There has to be some claim of what the wrong is and some averment, some finding of fact that this man violated that standard of wrong. And then after that, there has to be this. How does he make things right? How does he, a man who evidently is poor and whom a relative says has mental problems, how does he make it right? Do Christian people care how this man is treated? Do they care about his soul? Well, probably there are some in these churches who realize that the person who did this to their fellowship's property and that of others has a spiritual problem, right? He's making an argument, he's making a case, he's making a statement about what he believes, and he's finding that he can't express it in any other way than what we call vandalism, which is a crime, which is a damage to property. It is a wrong and a tort to damage someone's property by painting a number on it, any number at all. It's not proper and it's wrong. Well, how do Christian people seek redress? Do they simply say, well, it's not in our hands. This is a police matter, and the DA has charge of it. He has charge of it, and there's nothing we can do about it. Things are what they are. In other words, to say that is simply to say, well, what is normative is what is actual is normative, and that can't be true. That is not true. Just because it is actual doesn't mean it is right. Just because it is done routinely, just because laws are used routinely, doesn't mean that they're functioning in society to make a wrong right is the best solution, or even just. Is it possible that these Christian people in these two churches, including Canaan Church in Chattanooga, Canaan Baptist Church on 13th Avenue, might propose something different? What would that look like? What do you think? 800-894-9, 800-894-9. Now, the standard, the church, these are church people. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up the sum of their standard, which I would say is in the scriptures, right? If they're Christians, they hold to the scriptures, and they would say, well, the general equity in the scriptures apply to us. Many of the laws in the scriptures apply directly to us. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit. Thou shalt not kill babies. Right. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. These are all standards that have a practical civil effect. They have a civil and civic judicial claim on Bradley County, on Hamilton County, whether the people therein recognize it or not. And so, if we don't have an alternative to this statute, we have this statute, which again posits that the state is the victim, and that the wrong can be addressed only punitively. In other words, if he did it and the jury finds he did it as a matter of fact, then this man may be in prison and he may have to pay a fine. Well, okay, a fine is a payment to the state for its to secure its budget, right? That's what a fine is. It is the state is making itself whole by the payment, and making itself whole, as it were, by the man being in prison. A system of slavery, the prison system is a slave system in our Constitution, protected in the Constitution of Tennessee and in the federal Constitution. We have state slavery replacing private chattel slavery, which was abolished by the war, ending in 1865. David Toole is here, 800-8949, 800-8949, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, and suggesting that there might be an alternative way in which Christian people can use their law, right, their own Bible, and the principles of equity in their Bibles to say, well, we want something different. We're not gonna testify in your court. We're not gonna take part in your prosecution for a crime. We're going to take this man, and we would like there to be a judge to oversee this relationship, but we're going to have a relationship with this man because we care for his soul. And he has done us wrong, but he indicates that he's willing to make things right, and we'd like a judge to oversee this relationship, to oversee it, and to make sure that he does what he agrees to do with us. And we're gonna make it so that he's restored, and that we are restored. You see here how there's an operation of grace filtering into the picture. We have a dark and angry state going to prosecute this malefactor, and he's in a jail. Probably won't be able to make bond. Won't be able to defend himself, and he'll be one of the 66% of people in any jail in the state who has not been convicted of a crime. Again, that is a grave social sin. That is a wrong, an evil. That is an evil in Chattanooga and in Hamilton County. And you, my listener, need to think, what can you do to make that evil stop? What can we bring to make it cease and desist? So here this man is in jail, and the churches theoretically could say, we're going to try something different. We're not going to cooperate with you, Mr. Prosecutor. We're going to take care of this by ourselves, but we're going to make a separate pleading apart from prosecution, and we're going to make it in a civil court, or maybe even in front of the criminal court, as in an alternative proposal. We're not going to press charges. We all agree we're not going to press charges, and we want this man who's clearly has problems in his heart and his mind. He is in discord with himself. He may have a misunderstanding of the Bible, and we're going to talk with him about that, but we want to express grace to him. And that is how they will get paid back. He will make restitution, Mr. Dockery, and the whole relationship supervised by a court, either a civil court, a circuit court, or a criminal court in Bradley County or Chattanooga. And here now we have Christianity really coming to life. It's not just, well, our hands are off the state. We really don't have anything to do with that. That's all. That's the government, right? That's politics. We don't deal with politics. And I think we need to propose things in this direction. And Christian people need to take their Bibles, I suggest, and act as if they really believed what was in those Bibles and say, well, you know, we're going to do something other than have Mr. Dockery prosecuted under 39-17-309 civil rights intimidation, because that sure sounds good. And that sure sounds like we're being protected. The state, our master, is protecting us. That's what it sounds like. And it might feel good to think, well, we don't have to worry about this anymore. We just have to wait for the hearing. You know, there might be a preliminary hearing. A deacon can show up to that, and then there'll be a trial. Maybe a minister will show up. Maybe a deacon, maybe some member of one of the church families will just drop in, right? And that's as far, it's all very hands off, right? It's all very arm's length treatment of this man who wronged these people. But the scriptures require Christianity in the lex talionis theory, which is eye for eye, tooth for tooth, that there be a right and equal treatment for wrong, right? If there's not capital punishment, there is no jail. Right? If it's not capital punishment for a wrong or tort or crime, there not being a distinction in the Bible, then the judge oversees the restoration and restitution. The restoration is two-directional. It is bidirectional. It is restoration of the victims and also a restoration of the man who did wrong, because crime is a moral problem. Crime is a moral issue. It is not a purely legal problem. It is a moral issue and a moral problem. And so that is how Christian people, I suggest, look at crime. If their members are involved in crime, it is a moral problem, not simply a legal problem. It's not an environmental problem. It is not a societal problem. It is something that comes from within the heart of the individual. Well, this is David Toulis, 92.7 FM. You report and the world decides. We have a great deal to get to today. Make sure you drop in at the main sponsor of my show, the David Toulis Show, and also make note at GoFundMe. I have a GoFundMe page for my show there on GoFundMe. So GoFundMe, the David Toulis Show. The name is spelled Tulis, and make sure to support me and what I'm doing, because what I point out there on GoFundMe is that a lot of what I have to say is highly, you might say, highly religious in nature. And here we are, a commercial radio station. We make our living here with the service we provide. We don't beg for money. This company does not beg for money. And you might say, I don't really either. But if you want to connect with me and think that my labors on the David Toulis Show are worth reward, and that I can pay the station for my time, that would be really very, very nice of you. So that's a GoFundMe and David Toulis Show. So that's Dale Dockery, 52 years old. And I suggest that Christians preempt the state prosecution. That is what I'm suggesting, that we disestablish the current practice of prosecuting people who are sinners, right? They're clearly sinners. But that we disestablish the state routine punitive practice that ends in prison, and that we suggest an alternative remedy that brings restoration two ways, of the victim and of the perpetrator. Because Dale Dockery could be a very faithful man at some point, but he has internal struggles. He has vices and sins that he hasn't accounted for. He's probably not. He would not satisfy. He would not satisfy Freud, perhaps. Freud was making war against the whole idea of forgiveness, and had an alternative analysis to repenting of sin. Right, he didn't want to have to repent of his sexual promiscuity, and so he came up with Freudian analysis. The name is David Toulis, and Mark Gravitt and Reuben Taylor in Hamilton County have a problem with me, and I'd like to suggest that their problem with me is not real. It is in fact illusory, and that they are not respecting their authority and not respecting the duty of the office of register. Now, what the story thus far is this: last week, I had the second visit with Mark Register, Mark Gravitt, the Register of Deeds, who took office a couple of weeks ago. He swore the oath to uphold the law a couple weeks ago. And I'm asking him to put into the county record the file of transportation administrative notice. Now, this is a redress of grievances on your behalf. Okay, this is a you could say this is a kind of a stab at the deep state. There is a deep state in Tennessee, and one major element of it, one major organ of it, of the police state in the deep state, police state in Tennessee, is under Title 55, the double nickel. These are just wooden nickels in the end. I'd like to replace it with real nickels and have some genuine obedience to the law. And that's what I'm pursuing. But the story is today that Mark Rabbit and Ruben Taylor are forbidding me and denying me my right to have a record made to a document in a digital age where things are often changed, right? Things are often changed, reworded, remade by other people. I need to have a secure copy of this document put into the public record for litigation downstream. Give it to us.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A car chase in Calhoun led to an officer-involved shooting. GBI investigators say a Gordon County deputy tried to pull over a car driven by Santiago Marquez, but he refused to stop. Reports say Marquez then hit 2 law enforcement vehicles, nearly clipped a deputy. Trooper then opened fire, shooting 1 shot through the window of Marquez's car. Marquez allegedly got out, tried to run, but was tased and arrested, the GBI handling the investigation. 29-year-old Jeremy Harris was shot on Windsor Street early Saturday. Chattanooga cops say they went to the hospital where he is recovering to interview him. He was able to tell them where the shooting happened, and police set up a crime scene. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. And Athens-based Tennessee National Guardsmen are sent to South Carolina to assist in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. The battalion's mission will be to assist local authorities in providing for the overall safety of those most affected by the storm. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Cash, and more cash. Get 8.1% return on your money. Rick Davis can turn your cash into real money. Gold and silver bullion. American Eagle Gold. The banks give you a measly 1.9%. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll get 8.1% return on your money. 8.1% return on your money. Wow! Whether you're buying an ounce or 100 ounces, Rick guarantees it in writing. 8.1% Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Rainer Road, Chattanooga.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford at FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
The kids are back in school, routine has returned, and we've shifted our thoughts to the fast approaching holiday season. Are you hosting? Want to spruce up before your guests arrive? Whether you want new color and exciting wallpaper or elegant window treatments, the designers at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. With brands like York, Tebow, Graber, and Carroll, we know you'll find something you love. Stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today. It's really more than just a paint store. On Hicks and Pike, across from Valvoline, or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Join Nooga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships, as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust. Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nooga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nooga Radio.
Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Expect mostly cloudy skies with a few scattered showers out there through your afternoon. Highs settling into the lower 80s tonight. Partly cloudy, lows into the upper 60s. For Tuesday, a drier day. More sunshine, warmer highs into the upper 80s. Mostly sunny, hot near 90 for the midweek. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Source Gene Twelve, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
The state of affairs in Hamilton County is one that Mark Gravitt, the Register of Deeds, and Reuben Taylor don't want you to know about, at least not through the office of the Register of Deeds. They don't want you to find out about it there. They don't want an accurate report about this state of affairs to be kept there. They will not keep it there, 20 pages long in single type legal analysis, full citations from the Tennessee Code, annotated, and the U.S. Code at Title 49, the Transportation Code, both federal and state, and numerous court cases, which make it very clear that there has been a boundary that has been moved. Just think about it for a second. Here you are at your house, and there's a knock at the door, and you open, and there is a man in blue, a uniformed officer, with his belt full of weapons of courage and strength that he uses to keep people in line. Handcuffs, taser, bright yellow, a very, very large, probably a 40 caliber automatic pistol, and he's bulked up, not because he does a lot of exercise, he does, but he has an extra layer of clothing on under his vestments, which is to say his armor plate. And you are quite intimidated. You step back, and he comes into your living room. He passes through past the red chair there in the window, and looks around, kind of nods a little bit, looks down your hallway, says, well, he'll go left into the kitchen. He's going to look into your refrigerator, and you're just kind of watching, not quite sure that you have any authority to say anything. So he's going to pull out a milk. He's going to reach under the counter there where the cereal boxes are. He's going to pull out the box of cornflakes and reach. He sees bananas at the top of the refrigerator. He pulls the banana down and peels it. He knows exactly what to look for, a knife. He does that, and he puts some water on your wife's Dutch teapot and sits down at the table. And he said, well, he didn't want to wait too long for the coffee, so he's going to take the cereal and the milk and go into your office. And well, there in your office, he drums his fingers a bit on the desk and says, well, I think I'll just go in. And he clicks your mouse on the screen, lightens up, and there, well, he thinks you might go through your email. Check your email, make sure that there's nothing dangerous there. Maybe for public safety, we just want to make sure that you, the listener, are okay. Then he goes down the hall, looks into your children's rooms, the guest room there, where sometimes your mother-in-law stays when she comes to visit. You have your sister and her husband come. They stay there in a very nice room with the air conditioning unit on the outside. Then he goes to the right there into the dining room, where you have some wine on an old dresser in which you keep your as your wife keeps her Christmas paper there and all kinds of tablecloths and napkins and the like. And he in fact looks into the second drawer to see what's in there, and takes a bottle, one of the bottles. It's got the cork already up, and some is missing from the bottle of wine. Takes that. He's going to go upstairs, and guess what? Your wife's up there. Then he's going to make love to her. He's going to have sex with your wife, and you are not to say anything or to do anything. Now that is a story that happened oftentimes in ancient times, where the master might have sexual relations with any woman he wanted, and a husband's claim on his wife was of no import legally to him, and he knew his authority and did what he wanted. In the land, in the house, in the barn, and in the bedroom, he had rights to do what he wanted to. Well, we don't have sovereign individuals like that, but I told Mark Gravitt that we seem to be having sovereign individuals in Hamilton County. And I suggested that he might be one of them. And that is to say that we do what we want. And my concern is that we get transportation administrative notice on your behalf in the public record. And I've been denied by Mark Gravitt and Reuben Taylor. Reuben Taylor effectively telling me, well, there's effectively no room in it, and that the document, 20-page analysis plus a 1-page affidavit, is not eligible to be entered into the record. Now, that is as you may recall my having said before, a fruity suggestion, because there are many all kind of other document types in the register. I have filed several of them myself, including one which was an affidavit, which was a letter to a jury. You know, I often think of juries and making my arguments in favor of the jury. If I'm ever accused of anything, I probably will handle my own case and make my case to the jury. So I'm always thinking in terms of juries and making an argument that the jury will understand and appreciate and actually really enjoy, right? I'm planning, if I'm ever accused of anything, to make the jury enjoy my time with them and their time with me, because it will be certainly very entertaining and very colorful and very, very enlightening. I'm not sure when that will happen, whether I'm the plaintiff or the defendant. We'll have to see. But the authority to register documents, as I have it here in my copy of Tennessee Code Annotated, it's volume 11A, titles 65 and 66, public records, public utilities, and one other thing, and then property. So there's a discussion in this volume about the duty of the register and the writings eligible for registration, and it's a long list. There are about 25. The only area where there seems to be any discretion by Mark Gravitt, 800-8949, 800-8949 is the number to call me. Go ahead, call me and get me off this diatribe, okay? Just save me if you want to. But the only discretion he has is in dealing with a document that is handwritten and may not be legible. So there he has discretion. But given that there are hundreds of styles of documents, from affidavits, titles, notices, scrivener's affidavits, you name it, there are many kinds. He has no authority to say no. And so he's acting sort of apart from the statute. He's acting with discretion that he doesn't have. Mark Gravitt, an elected man, is acting, get this, he's acting in a way that is not ministerial. By that, I mean he has a duty in which there's no discretion, effectively. He has no discretion. He has a ministerial duty. And you think, well, what does that mean? He's not a gospel minister. No, Mark Gravitt is a public servant elected by the people, and he represents their interest to keep records that are secure. And every page of important documents are kept. Okay? Every page in a record are part of a file, a digital file that he keeps. It's all digital since the 1960s, and that record is important to be kept accurate. Now, he does not evaluate the content of the record, but effectively he is acting like the officer, kind of doing what he wants to, having his own way in his domain. It is his domain, but it really is your domain. It belongs to you, my listener here in Hamilton County. And if you are from a faraway place, just traveling through Chattanooga, we do welcome you here for the hour, and urge you to safe driving or safe traveling, whichever it may be. But the ideas, though, are not copyrighted for local economy and the free market here on the David Tullis Show. They're not copyrighted freely use them. You may take credit for them if you want. That's quite all right. I'm glad if you copy what I have to say. The idea applies really anywhere in our country with its common law heritage. The office is the people's, and he keeps the records for the people's, mostly real estate, but many contracts, many other kinds of things with contingency arrangements, discharge papers, and the list goes on in a second volume, which I've been looking at. That's Title 8, Public Officers and Employees, and so that's here. And so his job is it doesn't really have a lot of wiggle room for what he can and can't do. He can't say, well, David Toulis, you're wearing your brown jacket today with the scuffs on the left shoulder. You can only come in here with a brown jacket and red pants. He's not going to say that, and so he really can't say, well, David Toulis, your document is not eligible to be filed. This simply is not the case. So what we have here is a little bit of sovereign individual in office, but the larger question is the landmark. And if you read Nuganomics.com, which I do urge you to be a subscriber, because you miss things if you don't subscribe. You'll read a story in the next few days of a transcript of our chat, and I bring up this question about the sovereign individual and the moving of the landmark. I said, Mark, grab it. The landmark has been moved. You are a man who keeps a record of boundaries, right? Estates, trusts, sales of lands, plats. I mean, you have plats here by the well, not by the ton anymore, but by the micro, by the micro ounce, fraction of an ounce, the weight of all the digits and pluses and minuses you have in your records. That's all that they are now. They're just bits of light and bits of electronic energy stored on a drive. And there is a problem in the boundary among the people. And the Keela Jackson story, which if you're following that's also at Nuganomics.com, this poor woman who happens to be a woman of color in poverty, and Judge Patey says no. Judge Patey says no to Keela Jackson. Keela Jackson had in her filing Friday petition for reconsideration, and the TAN, the Transportation Administrative Notice, I suggested be an exhibit in her petition, which she wrote and submitted Friday. You might say a very good service out of city court, Judge Patey, to get a call the first thing in the morning on Monday and be told, well, no, your petition is denied. It's too late. Well, okay. There are other remedies for Keela Jackson, but that notice was part of that petition. I don't think it was denied because the notice, as I say, 20 pages was not in the county record. That was not the reason. It was denied for other reasons, not the fact that it was not recorded by the county. But I'm insisting this is going to be recorded in the county record, period. And there's no way that these two men can say no. They just simply do not have the authority to say no. It is eligible. And the eligibility list, I point out in reading it, is not exhaustive. And so if I have something that's a notice, if I have something that's an affidavit, then this office cannot keep you out. Right? It cannot keep you, my listener, out, because I'm doing this for you. As you'll see, as I told Mark Gravitt, Mark, I'm here on behalf of my listener, and that is you. And I explained to him what the problem was with the cops. I said the cops and the deputies don't know what the law is, and so I'm having to tell them. I'm having to tell Jim Hammond, the sheriff, what the law is. He doesn't know. And I said Mayor Burke doesn't know either. He doesn't know what the law is. And so I'm doing my job as journalist, which is publishing. Okay, I cast things. Okay, I do two kinds of casting in my job here on the David Toulis Show. 800-8949, 800-8949. One is broadcasting. Okay, that is you, my listener, and I get together on this promiscuous dissemination of a radio signal at 92.7 and also at 95.3 FM HD4 and also on Facebook at Nuga Radio and also on YouTube at Nuga Radio and other platforms, right, at NugaRadio.com. All over the place, we are broadcasting. But then I also cast in a narrow way. I narrowcast. I write documents that take me weeks to write for 10 people. Okay, I publish it for 10 people, and that would be for, let's say, City Council of Chattanooga. Maybe I think there are 9. That would be for the 6 or so who are members of the City Council of East Ridge, Tennessee. That would be for Sheriff Jim Hammond and his right-hand man in the PR field, Matt Lee, and Mr. Branham, who was also at the meeting. And so I narrowcast. You see, I publish narrowly on your behalf, Why? Well, like Marie Mott says, I love you. Well, I won't say that, but, I appreciate you. I stand for you. I represent you. And so I represent the common man, the common interest. And that's you. Okay. You may say, I don't care anything about traveling, driving, and all that. License-free travel. I don't care about that. Well, that's fine. But, if you care about ideas, then you're going to care about this effort that I think is important. I say this is an important effort. And so I'm not going to let Mark Gravitt and Reuben Taylor say no. They simply have no authority to say no. They have a ministerial duty to respond to my request. I'm willing to pay them. I'll be paying more than $100 to get these pages in the record. And they do not have authority to just wander around and do what they want, like the cop in your house. He has no authority to be there. None. He's limited by the law. And the whole project here on the David Tilley Show, the whole project at Nuganomics.com is to get the good people, if I could call them that now. When I say good people, it is with quote marks, scare quotes around it, right? Because I mean it somewhat tongue in cheek, somewhat snarkily, somewhat with a slight sense of ridicule. But there are good people here. And when I talk about good people locally, I really mean it. When I talk about the good people in Nashville, in Washington, and Baltimore, and Brussels, I don't really mean them to be understood that way, right? I want you to understand them as bad people, right? But I didn't have to explain that, did I? The number is 800-8949. You can download the Next Radio app, by the way. Download the Next Radio app and get my show live on your phone as if your phone were a radio receiver. They've unlocked the cell companies have been forced to unlock the chips, and so you can hear direct signal from my voice through my mic to your phone. Okay, and if you're on that mode and you lose the signal, well then your streaming takes over. So that's all works smoothly. Get Next Radio app, Next Radio. For off the air and live broadcasting. I narrowcast and I broadcast. And Mark Gravitt is in my audience for the narrowcasting part of my business here. The journalist, the investigative journalist, David Tilley, the smartest guy, they say, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, the blogger with the biggest pen. The cop has no business making love to your wife. He has no business using your favorite stained coffee mug to make himself a brew coming in to your house. He does not have that authority. So what we're concerned about is that if there's a statutory authority involved, that it be respected, right? The cops cannot stop people for traveling privately, and so the cops need to stop acting like sovereign individuals and obey the statute, because they're all personally liable, as I have explained. The notice makes the individual officer personally liable for oppression and intimidation and extortion. And the reason is because the notice legally, in a legal sense, takes away his main defense. And what's that? Maybe you know what that is. You want to call me? You want to take a guess at it? 800-8949, 800-8949. The thing that is taken away from him is, I didn't know and I didn't intend to violate that person's rights. I didn't intend to do it, and I didn't know. Because now with notice, his department, his agency legally knows. When the head knows, everybody knows. Notice to the agent is notice to the principal, and notice to the principal is legally notice to every agent. There might be 500 agents in Chattanooga, and they all legally are responsible for knowing the limits of Title 55. That's why I'm calling for Title 55 reform. And City Council, we're going to talk about City Council, needs to get with it and save these men and women from legal peril, and they really should. I have proposed it, and we'll talk later in the details about what that is. You may have already heard it, but we'll save the details for right now. But I got a letter, by the way, from the sister of a man in a state hellhole. Now, the state of Tennessee is a slave state. Okay, we are all in our 50 states. We're all slave states. We thought that the war ended the slavery of the South, but we've shifted slavery from private chattel slavery to state slavery. And in nearby Bledsoe County, there's a man named Bobby Parris. His sister Joyce sent me a letter regarding this man in Pikeville. He's having trouble with medical about getting his medicine and proper treatment. This man, Bobby, has diabetes, hypertension, and neuropathy, and he is suffering from this on a daily basis. Now, I sent a letter to Nasa Taylor, the FLAC at the Department of Corrections, quoting this letter and asking for information. The physician at the prison has reduced his medicine yet again. She says they are trying to cut him completely off. A diabetic has to have their medicine. Well, that's not quite grammatical, but we'll move on. Chronic hypertension, she says, has to be controlled with medicine and not be cut down 3/4 to the usual dose. He's not getting his metformin as required or his Neurotin. He filed a grievance and was denied, she says. The physician is only going to see him every 6 months. This is a state slave camp just near here, just in the next county, Bledsoe County. The nurses even tell him that what the physician is doing is cruel and unusual punishment, that they should not be allowed to cut his meds like they have. What do you think about his blood sugar? What do you think the status of that is? Stays high, she says, because he's not getting his medicine as required. He's afraid that he is going to just be left and to die. There has been several deaths, she says, at the prison due to negligence. We are trying to reach someone that will listen before it's too late. Uncontrolled diabetes and hypertension together or alone can cause, there's a litany now, a list that this woman tells me about: kidney damage, heart attack, and stroke. What do you know about this? Do you, my listener, have any connection? Do you have any knowledge, any inside connection? Mine, only one, is Nasa Taylor. I do have a correspondent in another slave camp in Morgan County, the Hellhole. His name is Brenda Homer. I've gotten another bit of correspondence from him. The name is David Lewis. The number is 800-849, 800-849. Listen, we need to open up county government, and we need to have live streaming on county government and city government websites of what's happening, Facebook and YouTube. I've got an idea, and we have coming into town someone who is working on this as a project. David Toulis.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A car chase in Calhoun led to an officer-involved shooting. GBI investigators say a Gordon County deputy tried to pull over a car driven by Santiago Marquez, but he refused to stop. Reports say Marquez then hit 2 law enforcement vehicles, nearly clipped a deputy. Trooper then opened fire, shooting 1 shot through the window of Marquez's car. Marquez allegedly got out, tried to run, but was tased and arrested, the GBI handling the investigation. 29-year-old Jeremy Harris was shot on Windsor Street early Saturday. Chattanooga cops say they went to the hospital where he is recovering to interview him. He was able to tell them where the shooting happened, and police set up a crime scene. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. And Athens-based Tennessee National Guardsmen are sent to South Carolina to assist in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. The battalion's mission will be to assist local authorities in providing for the overall safety of those most affected by the storm. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7. Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
It's mostly cloudy skies with a few scattered showers out there through your afternoon. Highs settling into the lower 80s tonight. Partly cloudy, lows into the upper 60s. For Tuesday, a drier day. More sunshine, warmer highs into the upper 80s. Mostly sunny, hot near 90 for the midweek. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Soar Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
My ex recently hacked my email and my social media, and it really caused me some problems. I changed all my passwords, which helped, but I'm still getting trolled, maybe even stalked. I know it's him. I just can't prove it.
My business, well, it's been broken into twice already. I've got cameras, but that only helps after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening in the first place.
Unity One East is your solution to these and many other security concerns. With private investigation, security services, and backed by decades of real-life experience in military and law enforcement, Unity One East is your instant contact for security, investigation, and consultation to help protect you, your family, and your business. calls, no 1-800 number, no red tape, no wait, because Unity One East is local and available 24/7. Reclaim your peace of mind. Call Unity One East, 475-6206, 475-6206.
Call 423-875-3600 if you're looking to expand your professional look of your business. Then consider the vast opportunities that are available when you locate your office with the Rains Group family. Remember, it's location, location, location. And the Rains Group has the location for your professional office. Check out the spaces for lease at Executive Business Park on the Lee Highway. Small or large, we will build to suit your needs with the Rains Group. Call 423-875-3600 for the business professionals with the Rains Group.
Hey, dude, check this out. Have you ever seen one so big?
Whoa, look at the size of that.
Look at this little itty-bitty one.
Wow, that's really small.
They have them big, small, and everything in between. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives at the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. We're talking about over 40 brands of knives, including Benchmade, WR Case & Sons, Booker, and all the Frost Cutlery brands. Now, Sam, you've been to the cutlery shop. Is it amazing?
Spectacular. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. They have knives, swords, kitchen knives, ammo, and reloading supplies, plus survival gear.
It's the knife shop at Frost Cutlery. Open 7 days a week. Hey, girls, you're going to love this. We're going to the knife shop. Hey, let's not tell them they have ammo and loading supplies. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery opens 7 days a week. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives. You're going to love the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. The knife shop.
And tell them David Toulis sent you.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity, WPLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
Serving Chattanooga.
Broadcasting live from the center of the universe, the Tennessee Valley's most listened to news talk station.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by ZipRecruiter.
I'm Jim Shanavy. What's left of Hurricane Florence continues to dump heavy rain from the mid-Atlantic to the Ohio Valley, and it's heading to the northeast. The death toll is now up to 24 and could go higher, with widespread flooding and rivers that continue to rise. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper.
I urge you, if you don't have to drive, stay off the roads, particularly south of US 64. Don't drive around barricades. We're seeing this happen now, and the result is not good.
I'm Jim Crisula in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The State Transportation Department says more than 1,100 roads are closed from the mountains to the coast because of flooding. That includes much of Interstate 95, which runs from Miami to Maine, and I-40 east of I-95. There's fear that many roads and bridges have washed away or been damaged by the coffee brown floodwaters.
CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson.
The real concern that we have for the Carolinas remains to be the river flooding, as rivers are still rising and will likely do so for several days. Some of them will crest 5 feet above their previous record flood stage. So don't expect for the rivers to be going down anytime soon.
There could be testimony from Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and the woman who's accused him of sexually assaulting her at a party when the two were still in high school. White House counselor Kellyanne Conway.
She should not be ignored. She should testify under oath, and she should do it on Capitol Hill, but that's up to the Senate Judiciary Committee.
More from correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee vows he's working diligently to get to the bottom of the accusations, but Chuck Grassley's making no promises about any future public hearings. Democrats and a growing number of Republicans say both Judge Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford should have the chance to tell their stories under oath. In a statement, Kavanaugh calls Ford's allegations completely false.
FEMA has postponed a test of a system designed to let the president send alerts directly to all cell phones in the U.S. in the event of a national emergency. CBS's Steve Dorsey.
The test by FEMA was supposed to ensure the alert system would work in the event of a national emergency. It hasn't been used since former President Obama signed a law in 2016 ordering its creation. The alerts would go direct to all U.S. cell phones sent by the president. It's been rescheduled because of Florence to October 3rd.
UN Ambassador Nikki Haley accusing Russia of undermining sanctions on North Korea.
Every time we allow the Russians to bury evidence of violations, we remove incentives of Pyongyang to end its nuclear program.
Russia has voted 11 different times in support of sanctions on North Korea. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 38. This is CBS News.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified candidates for businesses of all sizes. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Liberty Mutual Insurance knows you're focusing on the road right now, so we'll just describe the advertisement we mailed you. There she is, the Statue of Liberty printed on a premium sheet of high-gloss paper. The message reads, Liberty Mutual customizes your auto insurance so you only pay for what you need. You'll think, wow, this is top-notch marketing that makes me want to reconsider my insurance provider.
Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, equal housing insurer.
Rent, electric company, cable provider, an Italian leather shop in Italy? That doesn't seem right. In fact, it seems suspicious. Today, we're recommitting to you and continuing to help keep your money safe, like alerting you to certain card activity we find suspicious. If it's not your purchase, we'll help you resolve it. Wells Fargo, established 1852, re-established 2018. Availability may be affected by our mobile carrier's coverage area. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Federal health officials are issuing a new warning about a potentially dangerous item used by thousands of babies and toddlers.
Over the past 25 years, more than 230,000 children have been injured while in a baby walker, most of them falling downstairs. Dr. Gary Smith with the Center for Injury Research and Policy in Ohio says parents should not use them.
And I tell parents that the best parent in the world can't move quickly enough to stop their child from going down the stairs if, say, a young sibling leaves the door open to the basement stairs, even for a moment.
Most of the children who were injured in baby walker accidents suffered head and neck injuries, some even ending up with skull fractures. Sabrina Cupid for CBS News, Atlanta.
Coca-Cola considering marketing a marijuana-based beverage. Don't expect to get a buzz from your Coke. It's looking at infusing drinks with CBD, a non-psychoactive ingredient in marijuana that can treat pain but not get you high. Jim Chenevy, CBS News.
I used to post to job boards only.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
The 666 vandalism suspect from Bradley County was arrested in Chattanooga. The police say that Mr. Dale Dockery was arrested at a hotel on Lee Highway. He's a suspect in 2 other vandalism incidents around town. His brother says he has mental health problems. 5 Chattanooga women were arrested in Knoxville, apparently for shoplifting. The police say that it happened in East Knoxville at a Walmart. One of the suspects, Demisha Kirk, was wanted as part of the Athens Park Bloods RICO case. She also has warrants for shoplifting out of Bartow County. A man walking along I-75 was killed in a crash. The Georgia State Patrol says it happened around 4 a.m. on Saturday. He was walking along the shoulder of 75 in Ringgold when a car crossed the lane line and hit him. The Georgia State Patrol is handling the investigation. The victim has not been named yet. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Expect mostly cloudy skies with a few scattered showers out there through your afternoon. Highs settling into the lower 80s tonight. Partly cloudy, lows into the upper 60s. For Tuesday, a drier day. More sunshine, warmer highs into the upper 80s. Mostly sunny, hot near 90 for the midweek. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford.
Radio 92.7.
You hear that? That's the sound of power. The call of the open road. That is the newly designed 2019 Indian Chieftain Limited. Yeah, Indian. More than a bike, it's an experience and an American icon. And the place to find it, Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga, along with their entire new 2019 line. Ready to answer that call? Go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign on 153 and Nicola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nooga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nooga Radio.
If you want to discover the real hope for your life through inspirational music, relevant messages, and testimonies from others who have already found hope, then we encourage you to visit the second annual My Hope Conference, October 7th through 9th at Hickson First Baptist Church. Free admission and childcare is provided for kids up to pre-K, while those in kindergarten through 5th grade will attend the Kids Hope Rally. For more info, visit myhopeconference.com or call Hickson First Baptist Church at 423-877-2467.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
You know, we argue for near is better than far, small is better than big, simple than complex. And in the footnotes, at 5-point type, Helvetica font, the neutral font, or maybe Geneva, I will take either one. We will suggest that personal is better than corporate and physical than abstract. That's the argument for Nougat-centrism, lococentrism. And I'm the biggest Nougat-centrist in town. Dave Crockett, the man who ran for mayor, says he is, but he has a 10-gallon cowboy hat that gives him an extra 2 inches on top of his already 2-inch greater height than mine. I'm 6'2". He says he's 6'5", and then the hat on top. So maybe he is the biggest one in town. But the name is David Toulis, and we are arguing for Nougat-centrism. And caller, I do appreciate your ringing me. What's on your mind?
Yes, I was just listening to you talking about a gentleman's medication had been cut.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I've been having problems out of my medication the same way. I haven't been to the doctor since 2014 because they had started, I don't know who's sabotaging my medicine, but I'd get my medicine, it would be bitter as gall. The name of my medication and what they give me don't behave. It be on the bottle like I'm supposed to have a Norvasc, 2.5 for blood pressure, and a Prazolam for my insomnia and nerve spasm. In 2014, they started messing with my medicine until when I got my Norvasc, it crumbled and it was bitter like gall, and it cracked my teeth. I couldn't get anybody to do anything about it. So, it's been about 2 weeks. First time I went to the doctor in 4 years because I was terrorized about my medicine. So, I had to wait 9 days to get it approved for my Norvasc. And so, these Norvasc is chalky and bitter. And I can't get anything done about it because I've been harassed there since 2005. I even went up to the courthouse. I didn't know where to go. And they said, well, we don't deal in medical problems. And so it's really been terrorizing me. And I don't know what to do.
Well, ma'am, I don't think I can help you right now. And I really appreciate your calling. Thank you so much for letting us hear about your problems. I hope that you maybe change suppliers. Maybe you're getting a generic brand that maybe is made in Malaysia or some place that maybe has lower standards of production. And I do hope
it's supposed to be name brand by Pfizer because that's what I had to specify because I was lady tried to give me an off-brand supplier, but I couldn't take that brand. I specified it, but I still believe that I don't believe it's Pfizer's product. I do not believe this is their product. It doesn't behave like theirs.
Well, again, I do thank you very much for calling, and this is David Toulis. We are glad to hear from you, the listener. The number that dear heart rang is 800-8949, 800-8949. We're brought to you by Nuganomics.com. And also, make sure you check out my GoFundMe page. It's the David Toulis Show on GoFundMe to help my show pay its way on Nougat Radio, which is a commercial station. We are a commercial radio station. And it's a way to connect with me personally to say, hey, David, good job. And contact me there. Leave a note. And it is crowdfunding. And I'm trying that to see if I can be of some greater help to our press platform, 92.7 Nougat Radio, 95.3 FM HD4, which is a digital station. Now, I've got a question for someone who's in the the music field. Her name is Emily Kate Boyd. And the question you might say would be maybe an odd one to pose to a songwriter and singer, but that is what Emily Kate Boyd is. She has a new company called Chattanooga Recording Company. And what I want to ask about is the public venues, such as city council meetings and Hamilton County Commission meetings here, and also others, getting you, my listener, interested in finding out what's happening in these places and tuning in and having their proceedings brought directly to you on your phone. Now that's what she has an interest in spreading this, you might say, this argument for public involvement through direct live streaming. Emily, what's your idea?
My idea, oh wow, I don't know if it's so much of my idea as it is just applying the technologies we have to this opportunity, or as you could say it, a problem to solve. But certainly with the lack of live streaming coming from the county commission, there's less opportunity to participate, to contribute, to watch the feed later. And the work that I've done over this last year in the political spectrum, both Republican and Democratic candidates, I saw the opportunity on Facebook to hit the demographic that could actually engage with this content and make change happen in the community.
Well, what about Danielle Mitchell? She is quite active on Facebook. She has Facebook Live interviews. Mm-hmm. She's a very nice looking person. She's sitting in her office. She's the camera's very close to her, and she's talking directly to the viewer. It's hard not to watch that. Chuck Fleischman, the incumbent in the federal House, is not doing that. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Absolutely. I think that Danielle's got some great team members working with her that are pushing her to, take the risk of being live and being seen. And that's important because if she wants to play in the political theater that we aspire to in the future, which is much more transparency. I mean, that's the movements on both the left and right of the spectrum. There's a push for transparency. We want to know what's happening. We want to have a say and be able to comment. And we want some accountability. And I think that's those kind of open forums allow that opportunity.
Well, when was the last county commission meeting you attended?
Last week, actually.
Was that, what day was that? Was that
Wednesday? Wednesday morning is the county commission. It starts at 9:30.
All right, you went to that meeting. What I didn't know. How would I? My listener didn't either. Mm-hmm. If we wanted to find out what was said or what statements were made, how do we do that? And how would you improve that connection?
Right. Well, right now, the way the system works, and I get that this is an effort for transparency, and I certainly appreciate that, is they audio record what's happening. Everyone's mic'd up. And then they post that audio, hopefully in a timely fashion to allow people to engage with it. But they also... I think that's pretty much it. They host it on the county commission's website. At this time, they're not publishing the agendas ahead of time. There's a lot of things that they can do. Not
my listener can't find the agenda of the county commission.
That's good luck.
Are you sure?
I think it's inconsistent. I mean, if you see an agenda tomorrow or today, actually, I would love to see an agenda today because I think the commissioners themselves, actually, and I know this because my father's District 8 County Commissioner, Tim Boyd, they often don't receive those agendas till the night before.
So the listener is not going to have that benefit that the county commission members.
No, and you're also talking about 9:30 on a Wednesday morning. How many people can actually participate and contribute to public forum and debate if they're at work?
I'm clicking. I did a DuckDuckGo on agendas, and it says here's some past agendas, but that's not really what an agenda looks forward. Right? It's something that that looks ahead. So you're suggesting that Facebook Live would be suitable for the county commission? Would that be with multiple cameras, Emily Kate Boyd, or with one smartphone on a tripod in the main aisle? How would it be done?
Well, where technology is today, and this is what the Chattanooga Recording Company is doing, is we've bought an asset that allows us to multi-camera and switch between different cameras. Primarily iPhones, I think, work the best with these new technologies in terms of low latency, not that much skip between the visual and the audio. But the idea is that it's not going to take a lot of infrastructure. It's really just a matter of a secure Wi-Fi connection, high speed, obviously, because we do need high speed. We are in the fastest gig city, right? So we certainly should be able to provide high speed internet to our government systems. I'm talking 3 cameras. I would love to have a camera on every commissioner so that when they hit their little red light, whoever's working the switcher can immediately go to them, and we can experience the county commission much more like as if we were there, and possibly even better.
That does sound terrific. So that we 3 cameras. That your idea thus far is there's a limit on the number of cameras. There are how many members?
There's 8,
9. So theoretically, to have 8 or 9 cameras, and with the eye open for the viewer. Let's say I'm watching, would my eye be shifted by a person seeing who's opening the mouth or the button being pushed? Is how
well, I mean, it's super easy to control. It's really just a matter of, the commissioner notifies the chairman before they want to speak. They push a little button which lights up their microphone, and that way the chairman knows, okay, well, Commissioner Boyd from District 8 would like to speak. Let's have him. What's your question, Commissioner? So.
Now, in City Council, there's a video made. Is posted later in the evening. The City Council meeting starts at 6. The main gathering runs till about 7, usually, sometimes 7:30, sometimes 7:45, and then when that's done, maybe around 9 or 9:30, the video is posted. Twice that I've looked for that to find a quote from the meeting that I was lost, couldn't keep up with what was happening. The audio was not there, so there was a kind of a glitch there. But are you suggesting that Facebook on smartphones, on the county or on the city Facebook page, Emily Boyd, would be more useful for the listener, more accessible?
Absolutely. I think we greatly underestimate the amount of time that residents in Hamilton County and in Chattanooga are spending on Facebook. If you look back at media consumption, it's happening a lot more. People are much more likely to be even aware of what's happening in county government if they can see that information being streamed, if they see their friends commenting. I mean, there's well over 300,000 people in this county on Facebook every day. Arguably, this is the newspaper of our modern era, and we have to adopt and keep up. And now technology is at the point where that should be very easy to apply, and it's just a matter of the security protocols that need, a few hurdles to go over.
These are open meetings. I could be there. I can go to a city council meeting today. It's actually tomorrow, and run my phone. It would be rather miserable though to watch it because I can't on my phone. I can't expand once it's running. I can't expand the focus. I can't zoom in, and there's also a limit in the quality of zooming in on a smartphone. And I would just have one image. So one can make, these are open meetings, one can run one's phone for that purpose. But you're suggesting that it be sort of institutionalized, that there be arrangements made with a group like Chattanooga Recording Company, which is your business, Emily K. Boyd, and that you help in outreach.
Right. And whether it's the Chattanooga Recording Company or let's say Dynamo Studios, this wonderful organization that's educating kids on how to work with electronic audio and also video pretty soon, I've heard. This is a type of opportunity, it's an educational opportunity. Certainly people could come into the county commission with very little knowledge and understanding of the technology and get up to speed pretty quickly with what's available to us. So.
Well, tell my listeners a little bit more, Emily, what the benefit is for the argument of lococentrism, which I make. You may have heard just a little bit about what that implies. The idea of lococentrism is that we care more about Chattanooga and Hamilton County and Southeast Tennessee than we do the country as a whole, more than Washington. If you're a lococentric provincialist like I am, you tend to think that people in Nashville and Washington are not likely to be your friend. They're probably just out for themselves, and what they do there almost always is not going to help you. It's going to hurt you. So there's sort of a provincial jealousy against outsiders. So it's not quite that bad though. But you think that Chattanooga is really what's important. And so you magnify the local and you put into smaller perspective the remote.
Well, that's the beauty of social media. I mean, it not only hyper values the local region, it hyper values the individual as the distribution channel. I mean, what you've seen with modern media and the changing shifts from, television network stations and there only being 3 stations to the move of cable channels being 300. All of a sudden, in those days when cable first started going, you could start seeing more niche focused content. Well, now we can take that a step further and say, beyond the cable news networks, we have our local, hyper local news networks. I mean, that's why, information and radio stations like yours on Facebook and streaming on Facebook are add a value. It's not going to work. No idea is going to spread that doesn't add value to our lives. The ideas that are going to spread, they add value to our lives. And as we educate each other on the impact of local government decisions, I think especially like debates with, raising taxes. I know a lot of us would like to see fewer taxes and just better ideas and better governance in general, more efficient governance. So how do we debate those ideas? Where do we debate those ideas? And my argument is, let's do it where we already live. We're already on Facebook. Let's have those conversations there and let's engage people.
The goal of live streaming a county commission meeting or city council meeting is not at the end just to get more people to vote, because we have, as they say, terrible enrollment for voting. I would say it's not terrible at all. It's just the way things are. That's not the goal, is to get more people to become voters, is it, Emily?
Well, I mean, we do have the worst voter turnout in the state of Tennessee. I think that's what we came away with from the August 2nd election.
Right. Well, you view that as very critical and somehow irrational.
No, I don't think
it's not irrational, is it?
No, I think that it's understandable. I mean, I understand why people, why culture has shifted towards this frustration, like my vote doesn't matter, those kind of attitudes that are, pessimistic, really. Arguably, this upcoming election, we may see major shifts in voter turnout, but the August 2nd election, if November 6th is anything like August 2nd, Tennessee it's going to hurt.
We're talking with Emily Kate Boyd. She's a singer and a performing songwriter. She has been most recently in Argentina for a couple of years, and for 18 years in Atlanta before that. And she's back in town. She's starting Chattanooga Recording Company now that's also for music for which you're writing the lyrics and designing the tune.
Right. I've been publishing music since I was about 23 years old, and I've written a lot of new songs, a lot of new material, and I'll be launching not a GoFundMe page, but a kind of artistic equivalent of that. I'm going to be using Patreon this upcoming fundraiser, and it's going to be a very exciting.
And for
year.
what purpose will you be raising your capital?
To cover
your gifts.
Yeah, primarily because I want to afford the producers that I can't pay out of pocket to for example, Marty Kearns is a wonderful producer out of Atlanta, to bring him to Chattanooga and to a Chattanooga studio, which is where I want to record. I haven't found the producers yet. So $500 a day rate for, or plus, depending on, how many days we pull these guys in. So it can be pretty expensive.
You're making, let's say, several songs, right? And that
Several
would be
songs,
a week. A week at $500 a day for a person to be here.
That's for one person.
Yeah, for one person.
Yeah.
Well, how many people do you need for producing? Is it a record or a CD?
It's going to be a record. I want to make vinyl.
A vinyl? Oh,
yeah, I'm over CDs. I have no intention of printing another CD for the rest of my career.
Wow.
The digital asset is the way that the idea spreads. The vinyl is arguably the best audio experience of it and the largest souvenir I can sell that is a piece of music. Vinyl's become $1 billion market. I don't know if you've caught that wave.
You're bringing us up to speed, Emily.
Yeah.
Vinyl is finding its own again.
It is.
After having been sort of laid aside by the digital.
Right. It's for the audiophile,
And okay, so now your idea is your business is it doesn't seem like it requires a lot of capital to start a recording company. Is that right? Did you need $200,000 or just $10,000?
Well, no, I needed enough money to start an LLC, essentially to open it with the state of Tennessee, and then the assets that I already had in place within my publishing, managing those under the label.
Where can listeners find your music?
Right. Well, you can go to my website at emilykateboyd.com. You can Google me. All my songs and material are on Spotify if you'd like to stream it. Really, the iTunes.
Under your name.
I'm on iTunes. Yeah. If you look under my name or my former band name, Joy Scout, you'll be able to find a really beautiful record there.
How do you spell that?
Joy Scout is like Boy Scout with a J.
And so you're looking for different kinds of work, and the ideas of here that we've been discussing about government offices, that's pretty limited though. I mean, you've got Red Bank, Saudi Daisy. Would you be trying to get business from these organizations or beyond that? Nonprofit boards, perhaps?
That's not a bad idea.
Do people care about those?
When
They
they
want to
throw
see
in the
live
ideas
streaming
this
of
way.
I
mean, arguably,
charities?
their Charity Navigator rating is going to go up the more transparent they are about their meetings and minutes. I think people do behave differently when the cameras are on, and they know they're in a public setting. With live streaming, I mean, this has so many different aspects and business avenues. Churches, I mean, to provide, a live stream to residents who can no longer, make it to the church. They can certainly stream their church experience with their headphones and get a great direct audio feed. I think that's the other unique thing about the technology that I'm using is I can get a direct audio feed off of the board so that, if we're at a live concert or it's a church event, someone can put their headphones on their iPhone and it's like they're there. It's not the same as streaming from an iPhone.
Emily Kate Boyd, thanks for joining us. Emily is new in town. She's got Chattanooga Recording Company going and is talking with me about live streaming. We didn't talk about court. That's something we'll have to talk about another time. But live streaming court cases, court hearings, that'll be terrific. David Toulis, Nugget Radio, 800-8949 is the number, 800-8949. Brought to you by Nuganomics.com, the website for the man and woman who matters. David.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A car chase in Calhoun led to an officer-involved shooting. GBI investigators say a Gordon County deputy tried to pull over a car driven by Santiago Marquez, but he refused to stop. Reports say Marquez then hit two law enforcement vehicles, nearly clipped a deputy. Trooper then opened fire, shooting one shot through the window of Marquez's car. Marquez allegedly got out, tried to run, but was tased and arrested, the GBI handling the investigation. 29-year-old Jeremy Harris was shot on Windsor Street early Saturday. Chattanooga cops say they went to the hospital where he is recovering to interview him. He was able to tell them where the shooting happened, and police set up a crime scene. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. And Athens-based Tennessee National Guardsmen are sent to South Carolina to assist in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. The battalion's mission will be to assist local authorities in providing for the overall safety of those most affected by the storm. Val St. John for Nuga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Get 8.1% return on your money. Rick Davis can turn your cash into real money. Gold and silver bullion. American Eagle Gold. The banks give you a measly 1.9%. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll get 8.1% return on your money. 8.1% return on your money. Wow! Whether you're buying an ounce or 100 ounces, Rick guarantees it in writing. 8.1% Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road, Chattanooga.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick and money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
The kids are back in school, routine has returned, and we've shifted our thoughts to the fast approaching holiday season. Are you hosting? Want to spruce up before your guests arrive? Whether you want new color and exciting wallpaper or elegant window treatments, the designers at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. With brands like York, Tebow, Graber, and Carroll, we know you'll find something you love. Stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today. It's really more than just a paint store. On Hicks and Pike, across from Valvoline, or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Join Nuga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships, as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust. Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that in.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nuga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nuga Radio.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Expect mostly cloudy skies with a few scattered showers out there through your afternoon. Highs settling into the lower 80s tonight. Partly cloudy, lows into the upper 60s. For Tuesday, a drier day. More sunshine, warmer highs into the upper 80s. Mostly sunny, hot near 90 for the midweek. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Source Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
City Council meets tomorrow at 6 o'clock, and I'm expecting it'll be another sleeper kind of get-together where the members have really just 2 things that they do, and that is hear about zoning variances and agreeing very summarily to purchases for computer parts, systems, widgets, parts, and the like. There's not much that goes on in city council. There's no discussion. There's no argument really about anything. There is no life in the city council meeting. And that is the exception is the somewhat droll get together of members of the public at the end of the meeting, which is called time for public to address the council on matters that are not on the agenda. So if there's something that's important that's not on the agenda, it can be aired in this forum. And if it's on the agenda, it cannot be mentioned in that forum. So what people who are aggrieved about Mayor Andy Burke and his Department of Police can do is hope that they don't have a chance to speak to the city council. They should want that their grievances are barred and banned and prohibited and blocked by the rules of Chattanooga City Council, so that instead they have a compensation, and that is that their grievance, perhaps their call for reform, is on the agenda, and that something is being done about it at other times in the council members' work week as members of the council. Right? They're all involved in business in some way. There's the contractor. There's the man in the printing business. There is Councilwoman Burrs, who runs a mediation service. All of them are business people and have lives elsewhere, and they are not free to do counseling full time. It's just not possible for them to do that work full time because they have to make a living. So it's very part time. It's not very well paid. And there is a great deal of charity involved in that work. Their businesses and their professions all suffer because they have time, especially in budget season, to give to hearing committee reports, committee meetings, looking over documents, and the like. So there is, you might say, a great deal of public service that they give, and one should be empathetic to them on that point. When the budget got passed recently, the meetings after that great exhausting spell were very short, and the council members were relieved to be out of the chamber on 1000 Lindsay Street within 15 minutes. There were a couple of very, very short meetings. But the question is, from me, what can the city be doing to make itself more humane, to make the city a better place? Because I think we have reasons to think that it's nowhere near as good as it could be on several points. And one of them is on the use of force, the use by the Department of Police of lethal force without regard to finer points of human relations. The art of treating, for example, the art of conversation, not carefully taught by the administration to the recruits. There are a decline in the number of recruits. It's harder to get people to become police officers, though there are always sort of gung-ho young men such as Christian Bird, who we heard from last week. He is a young man who in mid-20s who works as a kind of clerk in city court in in Red Bank. He loves that job. He's been doing it since he was a teenager. I think he got it as a kind of a co-op assignment as a high school senior, and he just is in love with police. And he is a member, as I am, of the Chattanooga Citizens Police Academy, which meets every Thursday. The department's big goal with that public interface there is to make police more human. Now, that it's a little odd to hear that, because it suggests somehow that police believe themselves to be besieged. They are under siege. It appears in that description. They are aware that they have lost a lot of ground, that they have a lot of making up to do, that they have a lot of softening and sweetening they need to consider taking part in, and learning how to perform as a fireman might. Right, a fireman is never viewed as a threat. A fireman is seen with all of his gear on. He is viewed glumping into the restaurant with his garb and his hat as a comical, wonderful figure willing to save your life. He's not there to beat you up. He's not there to tase you, to threaten you, to arrest you, and to make sure that any encounter with a hostile person ends up in an arrest. That is not his job. Whereas that is often the job of Mayor Andy Burke. Mayor Andy Burke and his Department of Police, he pretends not to have really much to do with it. And that is very disingenuous for him to allow you to think that, right? He should be very forthcoming rather, and say, no, these are my people and they're doing what I want. And when they're not doing what I want, I'm not happy about it. And I send a sharp memo or a sharp question to David Wright, the chief, the man whom I put in that position to oversee that bureau. And I'm demanding a report. I'm demanding mea culpas or reform or more training, more time. And the number of people coming into that department are harder to come by, right? And that is because there's widespread antipathy. Right? That means if you're in Red Bank, dislike. Okay, if you're in Red Bank, that's what that means. Dislike of police. And we're seeing more and more police execution videos, more and more summary judgment, people giving or should I say receiving capital punishment for acts that are not worthy of death. They've done nothing worthy of death. They've committed no crime. They have just, as one boy bumped into an officer and maybe shoved an officer in a court. I'm sure you've seen the video, and he's on the ground, and the officer, a sheriff's deputy, pulls his gun out and executes him on the spot, on the ground, and cleared by a grand jury of all things. And so this is the kind of culture that police have created, and now we have a new era. We have a change in the dynamic, and we have there's glad news I want you to know there's some very, very good and exciting news ahead, and that is the dissolution of the nation state. That is something that we should look for with great excitement. Even the United States. And don't get me going down that's another road. I'm not really planning on going down that road today. But the United States itself, I think we should look for with optimism and cheer the end of. We should look to the end of it. The end of it, and the replacement of it by more lococentric, more localistic bodies, maybe not even political. Why does it have to be political at all? Politics is simply an argument about law. All politics is simply law. Law. If you are caring about politics, then what you're really caring about is what are the laws and who writes the laws, who enforces and executes the laws. That would be the president or the governor or the mayor, and who adjudicates disputes and arguments and crimes under said law. That would be the judiciary. So if you care about politics, all you're really caring about is the law. And the law, as we are coming to see, especially those who are in the Christian Reconstruction camp in Christendom, they have done the absolute best work for decades in their analysis. They rightly see that politics is a dead god. It is a dying god, if not a dead god. And if we can think in the future of a non-political assembly of people where there are minimal laws or fewer laws than we have now, and less confidence in them, less confidence, especially in articulated positivist law, which is to say laws that articulate an endless array of duties and obligations and strictures, such as, for example, here I'm holding in my hand a title of the Tennessee Code Annotated. It's Title 8, Public Officers and Employees. So it's the whole book, which I'm going through. You can see I've marked many pages in there as I read. My bathroom reading is law, and many laws on how things have to be. So this is called a positivist law, in absolute contradistinction to our heritage, which is common law and unwritten, effectively biblical in framework, where law is minimal. Because the civil magistrate, the civil authority is minimal to 800-8949, 800-8949. So city council is the legislative branch of the city's government, and its people represent you. And there's a kind of a dispute between Mike Steele and me, Mr. Constitution and me, whether or not making presentations, making pressure, right, to get something done before city council is really at all worth proposing. I think it's something we should do, but I see the limit in it. I see a limit in the idea of lobbying for, let's say, the creation of a citizens review board for police. I think that something like that could be founded privately, and I'm certainly willing to talk with anybody who wants to form a private common law oriented and associational organization that looks and investigates corruption. Corruption simply being a kind of noisy word for violations of law. The violations of law that I'm concerned about are not those by private people, but by those public people, right? Sovereign individuals, we could say, who are in the government, who are employed on the payroll of the city corporation serving Mayor Andy Burke. And an organization like that would be one that investigates. It does not have subpoena power. It could obtain subpoena power, though, if it were granted by the city corporation on city business, right? City business, it would have through the ordinance power to subpoena and investigate. That's something that can be done apart from city council, I suggest. But if not, then city council should perhaps consider it. And so the idea of it even being proposed seems to be miles away, really, indeed. And the things that are bringing this to mind, I want to mention are several. The most recent cop outbreak is against Noah McLemore, who's 38 and runs Footwork's shoe store on Highway 58. And what was really striking about the attack against him August the 3rd is that the officer allegedly, as she claims, had gotten a call, but that there is no, you have limited authority from an unsworn statement about something suspicious, right? Suspicion calls don't mean suddenly that the person who is the object of their investigation has no rights, and yet that is what happened to Noah McLemore, who was standing in front of his store and was told he was descended upon by cops and was told to put his hands on the window and spread his legs. It sounds like sexual abuse, but it's just a Terry pat down by a female officer that he recorded. He didn't record the actual pat down, but he was recording the whole thing on his phone. And it is a little treasure on the great censor website, FB, Facebook. It's a lot on Facebook. And you can see the story on Nuganomics.com. That's Nuganomics.com, our chief sponsor. And by the way, just if you like my show, do go to YouFund. I've got a crowdfunding page up to support my show, thinking that I can help the radio station with the expense of having me on the air. It is a major expense for a commercial station to have me, David Toulis, every day here before you. So there are expenses. So GoFundMe is a platform, and it's the David Toulis Show. Just do think of making a little tip there. It's like a tip jar for David Toulis, right? I can buy my coffee from that and pass the bulk to Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 FM HD for high definition channel 4. We are live on Facebook, and we've got Sean Hannity just a few minutes away. Hang on, Sean Hannity is just a few minutes away. We are the CBS affiliate. At the top of the hour, of course, there's that great newscast. Now, Noah McLemore was approached by this officer who came with her gun drawn. Think about that. Here's a man standing smoking a cigarette. He's black, very dark black, and he's wearing a wife beater T-shirt. Among those facts, one of them probably triggered this officer to have a moment of fear. And because she was fearful, she said, well, I'm going to conduct a Terry pat-down, which is for her safety, right? So she said, do you have anything on you that can poke me or stick me? I mean, it's just a ludicrous question. It's just ludicrous. And her whole, when you read her quotes, I'll be publishing a story about her in the next few days. If I can just get Noah to tell me her name. I did not get her name, so I can do an open records request on her video, her camera video. She approaches him as if in a wartime situation. She's not someone who probably had military service, and yet she's acting like she is in a rundown little sand-blown village in Iraq. She's coming around the corner thinking there's an LED might go off or a sniper that the man might turn and blow up a claymore against her. It totally uncalled for, and yet that is the culture of police. Now, I'm mentioning her and her encounter with Noah McLemore, in which he's simply humiliated, and he wept twice. He broke up in tears twice as I pressed him to recount this story of this cop, and she couldn't handle it by herself. So guess what? Two other cop cars came. One with a siren roaring, a man who insisted that his business license was on his wall. This is his business, and his driver license is on the counter. And then she lied about what he said and said that he was being hostile to her and not cooperating with her. It's just simply a lie. And yet, how is it that the city council, who has read this story, they know this story has occurred. They know that I write about these things because you report and the world decides, right? They don't care. The members don't seem to care. And so there are several other things that they seem not to care about, these members of the council. The Jesse Parker ATF raid, where military weapons were aimed at 6 children as young as 5, machine guns aimed at children in a search of a house without a warrant for a man on a fugitive warrant. And Ronnie Policier, the man they intensely interrogated, was clearly not the man they were looking for. The man they were looking for had a different height and build entirely than Ronnie Policier, who's very tall and lanky. And what about the shooting of a man by Brian Cattell, the officer who is very well trained, and according to his attorney, did what he was trained to do in shooting 3 bullets at a man who committed suicide. One of the bullets striking the man's leg. And what about Officer Desmond Logan, hired June the 27th in 2014, the subject of 3 reports in the Chattanooga Times Free Press on rape allegations. And he's on the force. Nothing has happened to him. We know that internal affairs is a long, long process that seems to have no results. But internal affairs is merely administrative claims, they're not criminal and they're not civil, right? They're just administrative opportunity, employment opportunity type claims, employment problems. And then there is, earlier this summer, we had the Diana Watt dragging from the car arrest on a transportation stop by a department that whose officers need to know the limits of the transportation title. The transportation law applies to people involved in transportation. And do you know that half of black people, probably by my asking this question of many African Americans, half of black people either do not have a driver license or have one that is out of order in some way. And these people in this category are almost none of them involved in transportation. Almost none of them. A matter that I'm trying to get the officials to understand. Officials in the city, including the new city attorney, have simply the most unperceptive and conventional view on the nature and scope of that title, which I have read. I've read that title, and not even every word. They simply either misrepresent it in bad faith, or they're truly just ignorant. They're truly just people who don't know what they're talking about. Phil Noblett, the new city attorney, in a conversation with me, revealed that he has simply conventional ideas that every other attorney I've talked to has. I have not met a single attorney in Chattanooga who understands the scope and claim of that title. Not a one. And I'm not even an attorney. And here I am. I have a master's degree from UT. I have a bachelor's degree from UVA. And I was a newspaper editor for 25 years in the newsroom of the Times Free Press. That's all I am. That's all I have by way of pedigree. And all I do is simply read the statute, and they've gotten it wrong. Here, Chattanooga City Council is going to meet tomorrow. And what do they promise us? They promise nothing. Will they think about anything? No. Will they argue anything? Probably not. Probably no arguments about anything substantial. Why do we have people who are not governing, but who are rather just administrators? They are not governors. They are administrators. And do they represent you? I'd say no. I'd say no. So what are you, my listener, going to do about it? What can we do together? David Toulis, Nooga Radio.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A car chase in Calhoun led to an officer-involved shooting. GBI investigators say a Gordon County deputy tried